The room is quiet, but not peaceful. Your books are stacked neatly on the desk, pens aligned as if preparation alone might count. The chair is pulled out, the lamp is on. Everything looks ready, yet you are not. You sit there, phone in hand, scrolling without interest, not because you want to, but because it is easier than beginning. Outside, the evening settles into night. Somewhere, a clock marks the passing minutes with no urgency at all. You tell yourself you will start in 5 minutes, then 10, then after one more glance, and slowly the thought creeps in. Why does the hardest part always come before the work even begins? Most students believe studying is hard. Long hours, dense material, constant pressure. But when you look closely, the real struggle rarely happens in the middle of a study session. It happens before it, in that quiet space where nothing has gone wrong yet, but resistance is already present. You know what to do. You have done it before. Once you begin, you usually manage. Sometimes you even settle into it. Time passes, pages turn, progress happens. So why does starting feel so heavy? This is the question many students carry alone. They assume the hesitation means laziness or lack of discipline. They watch others appear to start effortlessly and wonder what flaw they are hiding. But that hesitation has a shape, and it has reasons. Starting asks something studying does not. It asks you to cross a threshold. Before you begin, everything is still possible. You could do well or poorly. You could focus or fail. You could confirm your confidence or confront your doubt. Starting collapses those possibilities into reality, and reality, even neutral reality, carries weight. So you linger, you organize, you prepare again, you check one last thing. These behaviors look like delay, but they are often protection. A way to avoid the moment when imagination must give way to effort. Have you noticed how gentle the resistance feels at first? Almost reasonable. That is why it wins so often. I used to believe I needed better motivation, stronger discipline, more pressure. But pressure only made the threshold heavier. The more I told myself that starting mattered, the more starting felt like a test of my worth. One evening, after pacing the room for far too long, I stepped outside instead. The air was cool, the street empty. I walked without direction, letting the tension drain. I noticed a narrow footpath near my home, barely visible under fallen leaves. It did not announce itself. It did not invite confidence, yet each step forward made the next one clearer. That path did not require certainty, only movement, and something in that quiet walk rearranged how I understood starting. The first shift is realizing that starting is not an act of discipline. It is an act of permission. Permission to begin imperfectly. Permission to enter without clarity. Permission to take the smallest step that counts as movement. When you expect focus before you begin, you make the threshold too high. Focus often arrives after motion, not before it. So instead of asking, "Am I ready to study?" you ask, "What is the smallest honest action I can take right now?" Opening a book, reading one paragraph, writing one line. This does not feel powerful. That is the point. And that is when the real shift begins. As you practice this, you notice something subtle. The mind settles after it moves. Resistance fades not because you defeated it, but because you stopped arguing with it. Like a stubborn door, attention opens once you stop pushing all at once and instead turn the handle gently. Ancient Stoic thinkers understood this. They advised lowering the demand on the mind to secure its cooperation. Do not command it, they said. Invite it. In this phase, studying becomes less dramatic. You stop waiting for the perfect internal state. You begin with what is available. And surprisingly, what is available is often enough. The next phase is learning to mark the beginning clearly. Many students try to slide into studying while carrying the residue of the day. Conversations, notifications, half-finished thoughts. This makes starting feel messy and unfocused. Instead, you create a small ritual. Nothing elaborate, just a signal, a cup of tea, clearing the desk, sitting in the same chair, breathing once before you begin. This ritual does not motivate you, it orients you. Like a bell marking the start of a walk, it tells the mind that something different is happening now. Over time, the ritual becomes a bridge. Crossing it feels lighter than jumping straight into effort, and slowly, starting loses some of its weight. Then comes containment.
You stop telling yourself you will study everything. You choose a boundary, a chapter, a topic, a fixed window of time. Starting feels heavy when it opens into infinity. It feels manageable when it opens into form. This is why craftsmen worked within limits, a block of stone, a length of wood. Constraints made creation possible. When you begin within boundaries, you are no longer facing the entire task. You are facing this portion, and this portion can be entered without fear. Focus deepens naturally. As these practices settle, a deeper change occurs. Your identity shifts. You stop seeing yourself as someone who struggles to start. You become someone who knows how to begin gently, who understands that hesitation is not failure, but information. This changes how you speak to yourself. The inner voice softens. Instead of accusations, there is guidance. Marcus Aurelius wrote that the mind becomes shaped by the words it repeats. When your language becomes patient, your actions follow. Starting stops being a moral test. It becomes a skill. The final phase is trust. Trust that once you start, you will find your way. Trust that effort unfolds step by step, not all at once. Trust that clarity often arrives in motion. Like a river that finds its path only by flowing, your studying gains direction by beginning, not by planning endlessly. At this point, starting no longer feels dramatic. It feels ordinary, almost forgettable. And that's its strength. Studying was never the hardest part. You already know how to work once you're inside it. Starting felt hard because you were taught to begin with force instead of permission, with expectation instead of movement, with judgment instead of curiosity. The correction is small, but it is precise. Tomorrow, when you feel that familiar pause, do not demand readiness. Take the smallest step that makes the next one possible. Open the book, read one sentence, let motion do the rest. This channel is for those moments, the quiet beginnings, the overlooked thresholds, the steady practice of entering instead of avoiding. If this resonates, there is more ahead, and we will keep starting together.